Hello everyone, my name is Jaybird and welcome back to the sad story of Emmeline Burns. I have some crackers. I have water. Oh, I dropped another wrapper for crackers. So I'm ready to go. Emmeline was dreaming, though she was not sure what it was exactly she was dreaming of. Her dreams were mostly comprised of vague shapes and distorted sounds, as though she were viewing her own fantasy lands from behind frozen glass or through a fine film of water. Okay. Just cracker in my mouth. Sometimes, however, she dreamt of Cornelia. She always knew when she had dreamt of Cornelia because when she woke it was with a silly smile on her face and a soft flush across her cheeks. That was how she had realized she was in love. She was always thinking of Cornelia, even during the rare occasions when Cornelia was not beside her. Though Emmeline was only 14, she did not fully understand what love was, and she did not fully understand what love was. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. She did not need to. Why trouble herself over the intricacies of the four-letter word, letter word, when she could instead be doing things that made her happy? Those things being chiefly talking talking properly, talking to Cornelia, braiding her hair, making her blush, and kissing her lips, her cheeks, her eyelids. Oh yeah, not the eyelids. Oh, don't kiss a girl on the eyelids, that will make her go nuts. And probably freak her out too. Emmeline was not particularly picky. On this particular night, however, Emmeline did not awake to find sunlight streaming in through her window. Half-formed remembrances of her love flitting through her mind. She did not awake during the morning at all. It must have been late at night, because it was pitch black in her bedroom, and she could not hear any birds. It was earlier than 5 then, she assumed, for she had no way of knowing if this was correct or not. It was so dark in her room she could not see the clock that hung on her wall, though she could hear its ticking. The first point she was aware of, other than the oppressive darkness, was that it was cold. The chill of winter was well and truly setting in, especially during the night, and she could no longer sleep with bare arms in a light coverlet, as she had done before. What's a coverlet? Her summer sleepwear had been packed away at the back of her wardrobe, and the maids now set her winter nightgowns on her bed before she went to sleep, complete with puffed sleeves and high collars. Cute. The second thing Emmeline noticed, as her eyes slowly grew accustomed to the dark, was that she was not alone. There was somebody else in the room with her. It was none other than her father, Philip. Oh, okay. Oh, there's her frilly dress that she was wearing earlier. Emmeline stared at her father with wide eyes. It's not that dark in here. He looked back at her, and Emmeline could tell, despite the dark, that he was just as surprised, if not more, than she was. Had his face always looked so lined, his mouth so drawn? Perhaps the shadows were playing tricks with her eyes, but he looked far older than his 44 years. Emmeline swallowed. All of a sudden, her throat felt dry. Oh. Is it dry? Here, Emmeline, have some water.
Oh, thank you. My throat's not dry anymore.
You're welcome.
Father, is something wrong?
Nothing is wrong, Emmy. Nothing at all. But he did not look at her face, and he stuttered when he spoke. Why did he sound so frightened? Had something bad happened? Emmeline could not think of any other reason why he would be in her room at such an hour, looking so very tired. No. Tired? I yawn did not even begin to describe it. He looked haggard, as though on the brink of death, and his hands would not stop shaking, even when he clenched them into fists. Emmeline sat up in bed, the covers falling about her body like a funeral shroud, and looked at her father with concern.
It isn't Mother, is it? Is she sick?
Mother? She's fine at me. She should be sleeping now.
Oh.
A pause.
And why are you not asleep, Father? Could you not?
No, there's something I have to do. Don't tell me there's gonna be rape in this game.
At this hour?
Yes, it is of utmost importance. I don't imagine you would understand. Emmeline flinched. Her father's voice was strangely hard, despite the nervous stammer, and she was not used to him talking to her in such a way. Maybe other girls' fathers spoke in such terse, clipped terms. Cornelia's father sometimes did, but when Beatrice wasn't there to chastise him, but not her father, not Philip Burns. There was no warmth to his voice, no tenderness. It was as though he were speaking to a stranger, rather than his dear daughter, his priceless jewel, his lovely little Emmeline.
I may not understand what it is you wish to do, Father, but are you sure I cannot help?
No, nobody can.
But
I appreciate the offer, Emmy, but it is far too late. Her father swallowed. Emmeline could hear it. It sounded painful, as though he were attempting to choke down a lead bullet or a piece of steel shrapnel.
I do not understand. If you do not believe I can help you, why did you come to my room? What is it you wish to discuss with me, Father?
Philip's shoulders shook. It sounded like he was trying to stem a flow of oncoming tears, though he was not entirely successful. He bit down on his lower lip, but moisture still sparkled in the corners of his eyes, threatening to spill down his cheeks like April rain. If Grandmother Patience were here, she would have mocked him. She had always done when Philip was a child. Perhaps that was why Philip never visited Grandmother Patience. She made him feel like a young boy again, small, stupid, and utterly insignificant. That was why Philip had gone into banking, though he was not suited for such a cutthroat industry. He didn't have the knack for it, never had done. Grandmother Patience had said as much, but he was determined to prove her wrong. He wanted for once in his life to make her proud. And look what that had cost him. His wealth, his reputation, and now, worst of all, his family too. But there was no going back now.
Father, are you all right? What's wrong?
Emmeline, oh, my dear Emmy, I am sorry. I'm so sorry. I tried to be a good father, Emmy. I really did try. I wanted to be kind. I wanted to be fair. I had no intention of treating you like my parents treated me, but I was incapable of doing it. And in the end, it all went wrong. I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I was succeeding, and for a while maybe I was. Now I realize that was a foolish fantasy dreamt by a foolish man. My mother was right. I should have been drowned when I was younger. It would have saved you all so much trouble. It would have made everything so much easier.
Father?
Look at that mouth, though. Emmeline got to her feet, her bare toes curling against the wooden floorboards, and took a few steps forwards.
Are you not feeling well? We can call for the physician if would you like? If only you would sit down. Look at how much you're trembling.
No. Philip shook his head mechanically, back and forth like a tin soldier, his words spoken in an almost frenzied fervor. A physician cannot help now. Nothing can help. We're done for, Emmeline. You and I, and your mother too. This is it. This is the end.
The end of what exactly?
Our money is gone, Emmeline. I made a terrible mistake and now everything is gone. The bubble burst and we lost it all. Every single thing. Emmeline stared at her father, her mouth open. She did not know what to do, what to say. What could she say? She was only 14 years old, and she had always been told by her mother that women had no place in the world of business. It was only natural when they could not understand facts and figures or tables of numbers. Beatrice Linton was the exception rather than the rule. Beatrice Linton could do anything. She could have probably wrestled a bear to death with her own two hands if needs be, but Emmeline could not. She was only a young girl, standing in her bedroom in her winter nightgown. Pardon me? Shivering like a leaf, and she did not know what to do. But she did not need to ponder her own powerlessness for much longer. I'm sorry, Emmy. I'm so sorry. I let you down. And now this is the only thing I can do to make amends.
Father, what are you...
But Emmeline was not able to finish her question. That is because, at that moment, Philip Burns closed the distance between them and held his hand around his daughter's throat. Holy fuck. Holy shit. Oh my god! Holy fuck! And I love how we just have a lovely drawn image of this. How is this making amends? I think she would be pretty pissed off at you. You know, in the afterlife, you know, for killing her. She's only 14. You know, this is just gonna make things way more painful, right? His fingers dug into her skin and Emmeline could not breathe. First it was the shock that drew the air out of her lungs, but then it was the pressure about her throat, choking her. She could hardly believe it. How could her father, who had never raised a hand to her in his life, who had never raised so much as his voice, even contemplate carrying out such a hideous action? But he was. He really was going to kill her. Emmeline felt herself growing faint. She wondered idly if dark purple bruises would be left around her throat when Philip let go. A fairy circle made of mushrooms. What? Is that just one arm? I like how it's just like coming out of nowhere. Yes, I'm taking a screenshot of this. It's not creepy or weird at all. Her head swam, her legs gave way beneath her, and she fell backwards onto her bed. Still, Philip's fingers did not budge. They remained upon her throat, fixated with the gruesome task they had been charged with. It was almost as though Philip Burns had split in two. One half remained focused on the murder of his dear daughter, his beloved Emmy, while the other, appalled at his actions, looked away with disgust. Maybe he should have poisoned her nightly mug of hot cocoa instead. Then he wouldn't have had to bear witness to the look on her face, as the life was slowly choked out of her tiny body. I'm sorry, Emmy. I'm so sorry. No, you're not. And he was, too. His cheeks were wet with tears, and more tears kept falling. Some of them splashed against Emmeline's cheeks, but this offering of remorse made little difference. Emmeline was still dying. She had been dying for around 2 minutes now, though it felt like it had been far longer, and her heart was already starting to stammer inside her chest. I'm doing it for you, Emmy. It's for the greater good, I promise. I cannot stand the thought of my little girl going to the workhouse. I just couldn't. But Philip did not know what else to say. He doubted it would have made much of a difference. Scream for help. Emmeline stared up at the ceiling blankly, her eyes a vast sea of white, her mouth hanging open. Her arms and legs were limp, and though her body was warm, it did not move. It could not. Philip removed his hands from Emmeline's throat, but Emmeline did not stir. Her eyes remained open, unfixed, misty with death. Oh, me. Oh, Emmy. Oh, my Emmy. My little Emmy. With a choked sob, Philip pulled his dear little girl, who was now a very dead little girl. Oh, wow, thank you for that clarification. Into his arms and wept. You don't get to do that. Fuck you. Well, that escalated quickly.
After that, Philip Burns killed himself. He set the house ablaze, then slit his throat with a knife. Torching the house may seem like something of a waste, but if he had not, he would not have been buried with his wife and child. He had to make it look like an accident. Of course, Emmeline was not there to witness that, but she found out in due time. And that is the end of the sad story of Emmeline Burns.
Achievement unlocked, rest in peace. I open and close my mouth, but no sound comes out. I don't know what to say. I had already suspected it, vague speculations about her being an internet celebrity aside, but I have no doubts left in my mind after hearing Emily's story. This girl is no Emily. I knew she was no Emily from the moment she introduced herself. Emmeline holds one hand to her throat, rubbing it gently, as though nursing a cold.
I wish he had not choked me. I imagine he did it because he thought it would be less violent than stabbing me, but it took so long to die. 3 whole minutes. Worst of all, I could still think during that time. I could grieve, I could suffer. It gave me enough time to form regrets, and maybe that is why I could not die properly.
Emmeline sighs, resting a hand against the top of her own gravestone. Unlike the ghosts in films, her hand doesn't pass through it. Instead, her fingers make contact, firm and solid, and I even see her shiver when the coldness of the stone permeates her pale skin.
Maybe Grandmother Patience was right. Father does not have the willpower required to see things through until the end, not even murder. I suppose I should congratulate him for trying, though. He really did try. It hurt horribly.
I open my mouth once more, but I don't know what to say. How can I reply to that? What must it have felt like? What must it have felt like being portrayed so deeply by your own dad? I don't know, because I don't have one of my own. I'm taking a screenshot. Yes, you don't need to question me. You don't need to question my actions. Well, you can, but there really is no need to do so. I hate it when the top is like so white that I can't see where the game ends and the picture, whatever. It doesn't matter. Took a guess. Of course, this isn't true in the strictest sense of the word. I am not a product of divine conception, and the human man did have a hand in my existence. I don't feel like I have a dad, though. Mom never talks about him, and I never thought to ask. I know Mom doesn't like thinking about Saul Andrews, or that girl as she calls him when she is in a charitable mood. She calls him far worse when she is not, and I don't like thinking about him either. I don't have much to think about anyway. I've never met him before. I've only seen his face in photographs, and Mum threw most of those away. I can't say I blame her, given how he reacted to the news of her pregnancy. Apparently he tried to coerce her into having an abortion, and when that didn't work, he tailed and fled. Didn't even leave a note. What a git, or jit. Git? Jit? I always thought I should hate Saul, but I don't even know him well enough for that. Instead, all I feel is an absence of feeling, really. Apathy. Now I can't help but wonder who has it worse, even though I know making such a comparison is unfair. Oh. Okay. Let's take another screenshot then. Actually, you know what? I think it's a good time to leave off. I think this is a good time to leave this episode off at, actually. My throat's kind of hurting anyways. Apparently the spirit of Philip Burns is choking me too. So, with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this episode of The Sad Story of Emmeline Burns and would like to see more of this game, then leave a like down below, leave a comment down below, share it with your friends, subscribe if you haven't, ring that notification bell, and remember, die safely. Bye-bye!